Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'll go ahead and call to order this hearing of October 12th, 2023 in the matter of case file Z0148-23. My name is Joe Turner. I'm the county's hearings officer. I'll start with some brief announcements and a summary of the process that will follow so everyone understands how you can participate in the hearing today. I start by saying I am not a county employee. I'm licensed as an attorney and trained as a planner. I serve under contract to the Board of Commissioners. I say that so you know you're getting a somewhat independent review of the application before me today. My role as the hearings officer is to conduct the hearing and make decisions about certain land use matters in Clackamas County. In making those decisions, I am required to apply the county's existing laws. I am not a policymaker. I don't have the authority to vary from or change the laws. If you think that the laws need to be changed, you can work with Board of County Commissioners and Planning Commission to do that. But state law requires that this application be judged based on the laws in effect when the application was filed. As a hearings officer, I'm to provide an unbiased decision maker. I believe I am unbiased with regard to this application. I have not had any pre-hearing contact with any of the parties regarding the substance of the application, and I don't have any interest in the subject property or any of the surrounding properties. You have the right to challenge my impartiality, to argue that I'm biased in one way or another, and you can do that when it's your opportunity to testify. Procedure will follow. I will start by asking staff to summarize their staff report, copies of which are available on the county's website. Then the applicant will have an opportunity to present their proposal and respond to the staff report. Then if anybody else wants to testify in support of the application, they may do so. Then anybody who wants to testify in opposition or with questions or concerns. That should cover everybody who wants to say something about this application. You'll fall into one of those categories. Once everyone has had an initial opportunity to testify, I will give staff and the applicant only an opportunity to respond to the testimony that was offered. If that response includes any new evidence, I will give everyone a chance to respond to the new evidence. But otherwise, I'll close the public portion of the hearing and announce what I'm going to do. Generally, I will issue a written decision within about 2 weeks after the close of the record. I'll send my decision to the county, and the county will send it to parties of record. So anybody who testifies orally or in writing before the close of the record will be sure and receive a copy of my decision when it's issued. Anyone with an interest in this application may offer relevant oral or written testimony, but testimony should be relevant to the applicable approval criteria, which are set out in the staff report. Also, it's important that you make your best case to me. My decisions are final for purposes of the county, but may be appealed to the Land Use Board of Appeals, or LUBA. However, LUBA generally will not allow new testimony and evidence on appeal. They'll decide any appeal based on the record before me. So if you feel it's important that myself or any future decision maker knows something about this application, you need to make sure it gets into the record before me. And in order to preserve your right to appeal, you or someone expressly representing you must testify orally or in writing before the close of the record. And in order to raise an issue on appeal, someone must have raised that issue before me with enough specificity to understand what that issue is. If you feel you need more time to prepare, you can ask me to hold the record open or continue the hearing. If I hold the record open, you'll have an opportunity to submit additional written testimony and evidence before I make a decision. If I continue the hearing, we can come back and do this again at a later date. But whether or not the hearing is continued or the record is held open for any other purpose, state law requires that I hold the record open for an additional week for the applicant alone to submit a final written argument without any new evidence. If anyone else wants me to hold the record open or continue the hearing, you must make that request before the close of the hearing today. Also, my decisions must comply with state law that requires that I issue a final written decision within 150 days after this application was filed. So there's some limit to how long I can continue the hearing or hold the record open. When you testify, please begin by stating your name and your full mailing address. Please spell your last name so I get it right. And if you represent someone else, please say so. Also, as I noted, testimony should be relevant to the applicable approval criteria. And please don't repeat testimony offered by yourself or earlier witnesses. This is not a popularity contest. Whether everybody loves it or everybody hates it doesn't make a difference. The only issue I get to consider is whether the application does or does not comply with the approval criteria. But that concludes my introduction. Staff will summarize the online participation process, so how you can participate through this online hearing. Ms. Lord?
Thank you. This public hearing will be conducted virtually using the Zoom platform. Panelists for today's hearing, which include the hearings officer, county staff, and the applicant, have both audio and video capability. Audience members who have joined the meeting will have their mics muted unless they wish to testify, in which case they will be called upon to do so by the county staff moderator. Audience members' video will not be turned on at any time. Today's hearing is being recorded as required by law. The county will make every effort to post the recording on the county website later today. There is a designated time during the hearing when it will be open for testimony. The hearings officer will make it clear when this is. If you want to provide testimony, you will use the raise hand feature. For attendees on PC and iPad, you have a raise hand button on your Zoom bar, either at the top or bottom of your device, bottom of your screen, depending on your device. When the moderator switches you over to provide testimony, your screen will look different for a little while. Primarily, you will see all participants' cameras, not just the one who's speaking. Staff will call upon you when it is time for you to provide testimony. Be sure to provide your name and mailing address when you begin. Once you've provided your testimony, your mic will be muted and your screen will be returned to normal. If the record is left open at the end of this hearing and you wish to submit additional written testimony, you can email that written testimony to myself at mlord@clackamas.us, or you can mail it to Clackamas County Planning and Zoning Division at 150 Beaver Creek Road, Oregon City, 97045. My contact email address is also available on the webpage where you found the link for today's hearing. Testimony must be received by 4 p.m. on the day the record closes. People who testify and provide their mailing address will receive a copy of the hearings officer's written decision. If you do not wish to testify but would like to receive the decision, you must provide your email or standard mailing address, either by email to myself at mlord@clackamas.us or by entering it into the Zoom chat function during the hearing. And with that, I'm ready to start presenting if you are.
I may have missed it. Did you say how they're going to raise their hand on the phone?
Oh, on the phone. Darcy, would you be able to help answer that question? Thank you.
*9.
*9 will raise their hand. And then after they're done testifying, if they hit *9 again, the hand will go away.
I can lower the hand when they're done.
Okay. Thank you.
Great
Go ahead
question.
with the staff report.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
If I want to postpone, do I do it after she reads her report?
Do you want a continuance of this hearing?
Yes.
Okay. Can I get your name and address for the and who you're representing, just for the record?
Yeah, Russ Bartels, the applicant, 15197 Southeast. I'm sorry, 28. What is my address? Drawing a blank. 17285 Southeast 422nd Avenue, Sandy, Oregon.
And you're representing the applicant. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Bartelt. I assume you're going to respond to the issues raised in the staff report at the continued hearing. You're going to maybe
correct. I just needed more time to go through the issues in the staff report. I didn't have enough time to address them all. Yes.
Okay. For the public, I am predisposed to grant that continuance because the staff is recommending denial. I want to give the applicant the opportunity to address those issues. So I am predisposed to continue this hearing. I would encourage anyone who wants to testify to hold your testimony until that continued hearing. Because the applicant may address some of the issues you want to raise, some of the concerns may, or some of the project may change to address those concerns. So it may alter your testimony. But a lot of people are here today and have taken the time out of the day to appear. So I will give, if anybody wants to testify today, if you can't, maybe unable to attend the continued hearing, I will give you the chance to respond, to testify today. But again, I would encourage anybody, if possible, to wait till the continued hearing. So anybody who wants to testify today, please raise your hand at this point, as staff noted by it. If you're on the phone, *9. If you're online, the raise your hand button. And okay, there we go. Number of people have raised their hands. I will give you the opportunity to testify. Ms. Renner, do I just go from the top? Or
I will call them.
thank you. That makes it easier.
The first call in ends in 7580.
Telephone number.
Yes.
Yep. And you're muted currently. Do they need to unmute themselves, or do you unmute them? Yeah, there you go. You're unmuted.
Hello,
Hello. Can I get your name and address, please?
my name is Lisa. My address is 35830 Southeast Gunderson Road.
And your last name?
My last name's Haynes, Haynes.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Haynes.
I just wanted to say that my first concern is traffic and noise. We live in the country for a reason. And that's about it, really.
Okay.
Just wanted to put my 2 cents in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next caller ends in 3975.
And you're currently muted. You're still muted. You'll need to hit the unmute button on your phone. Turn up your volume. And it's still muted. We're unable to hear you. Ms. Renner, I'm
Hello?
assuming, there it is. There we go. Thank you. Now we can hear you.
Yes, hello. Yes, thank you for receiving my call. I really appreciate this. My name is Deborah Renfro, R-E-N, F as in Frank, R-O. I have a P.O. box. It's P.O. Box 1895, but my resident address is 35695 Southeast Rosecrest Lane. I actually face 362nd. I'm approximately a half a mile from this resident who wishes to have this option for her business. And so it so happened that I received the initial letter, I think the first week of September. And that Saturday, they actually had an event down there. And even though I'm a half mile away, I could not believe the noise I was hearing. And then they had an MC, so over a loudspeaker, and this went on from 7 to 10. And it was a really nice summer evening. I had my windows open because I wanted to get some fresh, cool air in. And the only way to stop the noise was to close everything off, close my windows, my doors, everything. And I just think, I'm thinking the proposal is for 24 events, and I will assume that that will be during the nicer weather time, so perhaps May through the first part of October. That's a lot of events, and I think that is going to be quite a detrimental impact to our neighborhood. And I think that's all I have to say.
Thank you, ma'am. Can you tell me, is your first name R.A. or how do you spell Deborah?
Yeah, D-E-B-R-A.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
The next person I have is showing up only as neighbor.
Hi there.
Hi.
My name's Brooklyn Morgan. I live at 18690 Autumn Way. And mine is also about half a mile drive distance, but my backyard is actually, I'd say, about 10 acres away from the applicant yard. And of course, I have the same concerns as some of the other neighbors, but more safety concerns, if anything. One of my biggest fears is us having a wildfire and having very, very limited access to get out. And if there's parties going on, whether or not there are policies in place, there's no way to control 154 people or whatever the capacity is from not smoking cigarettes and throwing their cigarette butts into the brush, lighting off fireworks from unattended teenagers. So many problems. We all have a lot of livestock around here, and it would just be a tragedy if a fire got started during one of these summer events. I don't even allow smoking on my property for visitors. Another one is the decibel rating. I know that the county does set that up, but the times that the neighbor has had parties in the past has gone way, way over the decibel rating. I used to I used to promote for hosted events, and I'm very familiar with decibel ratings. They're not sticking to the ones that are adhered by the county, daytime or nighttime. My last concern is drunk driving. We have one way out onto 362nd from Gunderson, and it is a deadly intersection. There's no stop sign. There's a 45-mile-an-hour speed limit with a hill with limited view. My daughter had her car totaled there. There's a cross up there from someone else getting killed. My daughter did not die there. But I can only imagine people having one drink or two drinks and just losing that little amount of focus it would take to get through that intersection. And again, tragedy. So those are my three.
Which intersection was it? The Gunderson and the driveway, or Gunderson and 362nd?
Gunderson and 362nd. But now that you say that, Gunderson and the driveway, there's also a slope. If you're driving from 362nd towards the property, there is a slope that goes down towards Autumn Way, which is my street. And that also is a very limited view, and people do speed there as well. So yeah, very much concerns for people being intoxicated driving on that road throughout the whole summer.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have John Zimmerman, followed by Susie.
Yep. Are you able to hear me? Okay.
Yep.
John Zimmerman. My address is 18809 Autumn Way. We are approximately a quarter mile as the crow flies from the property. A lot of the same concerns, traffic, noise, trash, all the other things have been mentioned. The Gunderson Road is a dead end. It is an undivided road. There is no shoulder. The increased traffic, so like 59 some odd cars like that's just not acceptable for the neighborhood. The noise, particularly the events that have been held, whether they're like a business or not right now, but on that property, have been pretty inconsiderate to the neighborhood in general. So the nature of what's been described in the application of, adhering to, the rural nature of the area and that sort of thing. Like, we have no expectation that the property owners, the people running the event are going to even, acknowledge that, or going to comply with any of that. The event held on September 9th was rather obnoxious and just disrespectful to everyone around. We've had neighbors say that people at their events are roaming around other properties. So they don't stick to the property there. So like given past experience with what's gone on there so far, we don't expect the an event space to be managed in a responsible way.
Thank you, Mr. Zimmerman.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Hi, I'm Susie Cloutier, and my last name is spelled Cloutier.
Thank you.
And I'm at 34950 Southeast Colorado Road in Sandy. So I'm probably less than 10 acres. I'm probably 5 acres as the crow flies from the back of the Saranza property. And you know, they have been holding some events earlier this summer, which were more respectful of volume limits and noise, and shutting the thing down at a decent enough time. The September 9th event was awful. I mean, it definitely and timing wise was probably fairly awful as well. And that I had just received my notice of them wanting to become an event space, and I was extremely frustrated. Very similar to Debbie's commentary. Warm night, had to shut the entire place down. We have livestock here, and it was upsetting to them. The MC got louder. It seemed a little bit more drunken, belligerent through the night. So the volume went up as the night went on. I'm also quite concerned about, I know that they're stating that they want to create an event barn, but and that may tamp some of the noise down, but on a summer night, there's no way everyone's going to be crammed into an event barn, nor do I think that you can insulate an event barn enough such that you don't have that noise bleeding over to the neighborhood. The last piece that I wanted to mention too was that Gunderson Road is a very narrow road, undivided, and that intersection between Gunderson and 362nd, again, is an extremely blind hill. And that volume of vehicles on that road I don't live on that road, but I live on the dead end road below it. And I could not imagine that number of vehicles coming and going. What is it? 24 times per year. So 2 events per month is pretty extraordinary. We are a rural area, and I do think that there are better places for an event center to be than here in a quiet farming community.
I will note the county code does allow these type of facilities in the rural area, subject to the criteria. So I understand neighbors' objection that this shouldn't be in the rural area, but it is an allowed use if it meets those criteria.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
I have Jimmy Newton, followed by Michelle.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Hi. Like I live just 2 driveways away from the place where the event center is asking to have a permit. The Ways live between us and the future possible event place property. My primary objection is the noise. I had a conversation with them the morning after church. I went over and talked to them and said, "Look, you're pissing everyone off around here. You're really not making any friends by being so considerate." The lady at the property argued back that, well, I am being considerate. I didn't want to argue with her much. They're honest, decent, hardworking people. They really are. but I don't think they're being considerate of the area. I went and asked her, if I had walked over that night and I asked you to turn the volume down, would you do so? And she thought for a second and said, no, probably not. Well, given that, do I have any other expectations but to think it's going to be more of the same in the future times 24? Maybe that's not realistic, but that sure seems like that's what would happen. A second concern is accessibility and that sort of thing. My wife has been involved with events and weddings and such like that. And most of those venues that have places like that are indeed out in rural areas where they're zoned for it. But they also have the luxury of like multiple ways in and out of an area. This is on a dead end road where there's only one way in, one way out. God forbid if anything happens during one of the nights of the event at 10:30, it would be a literal nightmare to even get out of there. Another issue that I have, don't know that I've been affected by it personally, is the people wandering off the property and onto other people's properties. I think you have every right to expect that when you own property that you don't need to worry about people coming over and wanting to urinate or defecate or whatever on your property. Again, I have no firsthand experience with that, but that's what I'm hearing goes on. So sanitation, the water that they would need comes from a shared well, and I'm not sure that would be adequate. The accessibility and the noise I've had some decibel training at a place I used to work at, and I know that theirs is getting way over the 60, I believe it's 60 decibels.
It is
That
until 10 p.m.
limits it at. Just a handheld for my motorcycling, just a handheld decibel meter to make sure I'm quiet enough to be able to ride in off-highway vehicle areas. It shows way louder than 60 decibels. I believe the next door neighbor has registered that much too. So those are my main concerns. I guess I'm done here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Michelle? You're currently muted. There we go.
Now?
Yep.
Okay. So it's Michelle Way, and I'm at 34777 Southeast Gunderson Road. We are right next door to where the event center will be. We are literally, the road that they want to put in will be 15 feet off of our house.
Are you to the east or west? Do you know? Just so I can orient myself.
We are to the west.
Thank you.
So I want to echo everybody else's concerns. We have all those concerns too, but
Okay.
we also share a well with these neighbors. They're new to the area. They've only lived there about 2 years. They denied that we are ownership in the well, but we have recorded documents, which I've submitted to Melissa Lord.
Mhm.
Through the years, we have put a lot of money into that well. So we have a huge concern about the water that will be used during these events. We also have a huge concern of the access road going in and out that will go right by our home. 45 minutes of traffic, of cars with their stereos booming, the dust that it would create, just the noise going by our home would be a huge detriment. I think it would be a huge loss of value for us. The trash that goes into our yard after these events, because the trash is not picked up the next day. If you were to drive by right now from the September 9th party, there is still trash in their yard that blows into our yard. We've had people in the back of our property. We've seen flashlights during these events in the back of our property. I've had other neighbors say that they've had people on their property. People miss the driveway. There's no direction there. turn in our driveway, which the lights basically shine into our house where they turn around. We have a gate, so it does stop them, but they are turning around in our driveway. We have people sitting in the road with their flashers on up to 20 minutes waiting to get into the parties, which people cannot get by. Gunderson is a very narrow road. So again, if there was an emergency vehicle that needed to get by, how would that work for the people past this event center? We've lived on the road for 22 years. We've had wrecks right in front of our house when Everfresh was during their season, where they come up this steep hill and people are coming down the
Everfresh.
hill.
I'm
I'm sorry, not ever. Sandy Farms, excuse me. Sandy Farms used to be down at the end of the road.
Oh, okay, okay.
Sorry, I apologize.
That's
But
okay.
yeah, we've had head-on collisions right there in front of our gate because of people going down and then people coming up the hill. There's no line of sight there, and where they want to put in this driveway, there's not a good line of sight to see all the way down the road on Gunderson. So I mean, the traffic, I think, is just a huge concern for emergency vehicles and just people living on the road.
Thank you, ma'am.
So, and I'm here with about, I don't know, 6 people, 7 people. Anybody else want to talk? Anybody else have anything to say? Okay, Bob.
That well deal was a deal between my mother and my brother.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name, and I need your name and address if you want to testify.
My name is Bob DeVere.
I'm sorry, I missed your last name. Can you move closer to the microphone, sir?
Yes.
Here you go. My name's Bob DeVere.
Can you spell that?
DEVERE.
And is it is the V capitalized, or is it all just
Capital
the D?
D, E, capital V, E, R, E.
Thank you, sir. And your address.
It's 348-73 Southeast Gunderson.
Thank you, sir.
About their well, that was between my mother and my brother, which with ways bought. It is between the 2 houses, and it was supposed to be no irrigation, no nothing, just for the wells for the houses. Well, anyways, if I haven't had a medical issue, the ME wouldn't be able to get back to the house because I'm all the way back to the back. And when they park in there, they park on the side of the roads.
So it's a shared drive.
So it's a shared driveway for me.
So when you say they park on the side of the road, are they parking on the shared driveway or on Gunderson?
Shared driveway on the Gunderson.
Okay.
I mean, on my property.
On your shared driveway.
Yes, on my shared driveway.
Thank you.
I had one other thing.
And that hill is very dangerous. The people coming up it come up on the middle of the road because that's the smoothest part, and the people coming down it are going down the middle of the road. So, like Michelle said, we've had accidents out there before. And I bring out motorhomes, and I just cringes me to bring my motorhome out of there when I was driving it. And I guess that's all the highway out there in Gunderson. It's just terrible when there's people going in there.
Thank you, sir.
I guess that's all. All right, just a second.
Yeah. I have one more thing I'd like to say also too, is that the landowners do not live on the property. I know it states in the application that they live on the property. They do not. It is a rental for them. I believe it's their niece that is living on the property, but the landowners do not live there. And then during the events that they have RVs where there's a lot of people living on the property. So that's another concern. Who is actually going to be monitoring these events? So the homeowners, the landowners do not live in the house. So I don't even know if they attend the events or what's going on there. Who's monitoring the people drinking and driving out of there?
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
I have Shad Rowe.
You're muted. There we go.
Hello, my name is Shad Rowe, last name Rowe. I'm at 35229 Southeast Gunderson Road. My wife Lacey has already sent in a letter, but I do not believe it's brought all of my concerns. One of the concerns I do have is the vendors coming before the events on weekdays. My daughter gets off the bus or walks to the bus down Gunderson at 7 in the morning, and it gets off the bus at 3:45. So with the limited access down Gunderson, I think that would be a very big concern I would have.
Okay, thank you, sir.
I have Brooklyn Morgan's hand up again. I don't know if you want to.
I'll see what she has to say. Ms. Morgan?
Hi again, I'm sorry. I wanted to add to my testimony after hearing all of these neighbor stuff.
Okay.
The first thing is that I have had the ambulance to my house 5 times in the last 16 months. I've broken 3 bones myself, and I have a toddler who broke his arm because we do live on a farm and we work with livestock and horse training. The neighbor across the street has had the ambulance to their house twice in the past 15 months. Also, me and several of my neighbors do work from home. So even if the events are only 3 hours long, we do have to deal with a full day of pre-party put together, and they do blast the music pretty loud during that time. Also, even if the parties are ending at 10 p.m., we go to bed early. My toddler at the September party could hear the music through his window with the window shut, and he was dancing and wouldn't go to bed.
Thank you, ma'am.
That's all.
Thank you.
I have Chris, followed by Jimmy Newton.
Go ahead.
All right, can you hear me?
Yep.
My name's Chris Dukart, D-U-K-A-R-T. Address is 34661 Southeast Gunderson Road. So my my house is would be on the back side of their property. One property away, I guess, is between Michelle Ways and the event center. So I think the event center is going to be pretty close to our house and our property. So I guess main concern would be noise. I have 2 younger kids. And when we were not in town on the September 9th, but I heard it was really loud. But there's been other parties where we're outside and we hear the noise. But if the event center was more towards the back of the property, then I'm sure it would be a lot more loud at our house than because they have their events up towards Gunderson, the front of the property. Another concern is parking. I haven't seen any plans, but I don't know where all the cars are going to park. The concern is sanitation. People wandering the property from the neighbors. I've heard looked like there was people wandering on my property from the last event. And anything else?
I think that we're on a dead end road, and a lot of the people on Gunderson, I think, have been on Gunderson a lot of years. We've only been there, what, 5 or 6 years, but in the past, our neighbor that we share a driveway with, he had, he passed away last year, but he had the ambulance and fire department do safety checks on him a lot. And if there was an event, and there was traffic held up on Gunderson. I think that's our biggest concern is safety. And
Thank you, ma'am. That issue been raised quite clearly, and I will consider it. Ma'am, if you want to be a party of record, can I get your name? And I assume it's
sorry, I'm Jennifer Dukart, his wife.
Thank you.
Same
address, I assume.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
So if there are trailers there, where would they put their, because there are like 2 or 3 trailers there right now, sewer, gray water, that kind of thing. So if they're staying on site.
Attendees at the site at events would not be allowed to stay overnight. I think that would be a condition, or it's not generally not allowed, and it's not proposed, but it's something I would consider, I would address in my decision.
All right. Well, currently there's like 2 trailers there right now.
Are people residing on those in those trailers?
There's no way for us to.
I don't know, but maybe Michelle knows better.
Okay. Thank you. And I will ask, the applicant can address all of these issues in their response during the continued hearing, rather. Who's next?
Jimmy Newton.
You're muted.
I apologize for
There we
this.
go.
I don't know if I gave my address earlier in my testimony.
Thank you. I appreciate you letting us know.
34665 Southeast Gunderson Road, Sandy, Oregon 97055. My last name is Newton, Newton, and Jimmy is spelled with an IE.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, that shows up on my screen. The people on the phone or people who don't put their full name don't, but you did, and I appreciate it. So
Okay.
I can create it off my screen. Get spelled
Thank
right.
you. Thank you.
Last one's Michelle.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
So I just want to add that, yes, when these events happen, they're not just day events, they're about 3 to 4 day events, and people are living in the RVs. They hold great big parties. There's 3 RVs on the property, and they hold great big parties the whole time. They're set up and take down. There's people living in these RVs, and very, very, very much a party situation. So, and then I have somebody else here at the meeting that would like to talk. Let me bring the thing over to you. There you go. You just talk into it.
Okay, thank you. My name is Melinda Rusaw, RUSAW. My address is 34901 Southeast Gunderson. And I am back behind the proposed event site. And my driveway is on the opposite side, but adjacent to that property. And I read the proposal, and it looks like they would use our driveway for emergencies or fire lane.
Is your driveway on the west or the east?
East.
Okay. I did not see that I don't think they have any right to do that, but I will ask the applicant to address that during the open record or during the continued hearing.
Maybe I read it wrong. I
Yeah.
do, we have a little relationship with the people living there, and we haven't had any problems. We are not right next to it, so the music is kind of nice in the evening, but we don't have to deal with any of the things that the people right next to them are dealing with. But I am concerned about, it states in the proposal a lot of the things that we're worried about and how they would take care of those things. But my concern is, who's going to monitor that? The property next to them on the east side, there's been a lot of complaints about that, and the county has not taken care of it. So I don't anticipate monitoring this new event site either. That's my concern.
Thank you, ma'am. I don't see any other raised hands. Does the applicant, Mr. Bartel, do you want to, any response, or do we want to just go to a continuance, pick a continuance date?
Yeah, continuance date would be good. I'll address all the responses.
How far out do you want to go?
Probably like the end of November, maybe.
Okay.
Last week in November, around there.
I'm grabbing my calendar real quick. That's Thanksgiving. Our hearings are Thursdays. Ms.
Joe,
Renner?
I don't have you available for any hearings in November.
Yeah, I don't. I was just noticing that. My next hearing after November is December 14th.
That'll work.
Okay.
Yep.
Where are we with the 150-day clock?
Today is day 64 of 150.
Do you know when the 150 expires? That's.
Give me 1 minute and I will tell you.
I was hoping you'd have a calculator there, some way to figure that quickly. Ms. Renner, is it December 14th available?
Just unchecking.
Yeah, okay. I figured you would.
Day 150 is January 6th.
Okay. I'm waiting to see if we're available.
Yes, it's open.
Both times?
It would be 9:30 a.m.
Okay, okay. Okay. Mr. Bartels, are you willing to extend the 150-day clock to accommodate this continued hearing?
Yes.
Okay. Let's just extend the 150 days. However many days we're doing. It's 12, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks. I'll ask you to extend the 150-day clock 9 weeks, just so we retain the same spacing or amount of time. It won't be an issue. I'm sure I can get a decision out much sooner than that, but you willing to do that?
Yes.
Okay. I'll need you to submit something in writing to that effect, a 9-week extension of the 150-day clock. But with that, I'm going to close this hearing. I will continue this item until 9:30 a.m. on December 14th. We will reconvene online at that time. Will the county provide a new Zoom link, I assume? No? Okay, same Zoom link is still valid.
Zoom link will be a new Zoom link.
Will be, okay.
There will not be additional notice.
Right. They'll find the Zoom link on the county website. Okay. So for those who want to attend the continued hearing, I will continue it to December 14th at 9:30. We will reconvene at that time. There will be a new Zoom link, which will be available on the county website prior to that date. And anybody who wants to participate at that continued hearing can do so. At that point, the applicant will present any revisions to their proposal, respond to some of these issues that have been raised. And then the public will have the opportunity to respond to the revised proposal, to the extent it's revised, to the proposal generally. Again, I will at that continued hearing. There's been a lot of testimony about these concerns. I totally understand those concerns, so there's no need to repeat them again at the continued hearing. But if you want to address how the revised application does or does not address those concerns, you can do so. But just general concerns have clearly been raised, and so there's no need to repeat those at the continued hearing. That concludes our hearing for today. Thank you all for your testimony, and we'll see some of you at the continued hearing on December 14th. Have a good afternoon.